Hello everyone and welcome to the final episode of me drawing swords from the Gilded SMP. And we are gonna just get right into this. So let's start just the base sword drawing in 3, 2, 1, go. And this sword and I have history, okay? So in episode 10, or sometime early in the life cycle of Gilded SMP Season 1, I did some lore, and I drew this sword very badly in like 10 minutes. It was my first time drawing in years, so it was very bad. So this was like a redemption. This was basically for me to be like, I can draw this sword and I can make it look good, because this sword is maybe the most busy / complicated sword in the set, in my opinion. But it is the Dragonslayer sword that didn't really belong to anyone, but was available for us to buy in the ruins in the Gilded SMP. And for most of my season, this was the sword I used. I think a few other people used this sword as well, just because it was a cool looking sword, and it was pretty non-expensive in the currency we used, I think, if I remember correct. But this sword is so cool. It is like a purpley, and it has copper accents, which I love using copper in Minecraft, and also just the shape of the sword is so different from the other two swords. It's just so fun. But also, because of all those things that I really like about this sword, it is so difficult for me to transfer it from being like a 3D object into it being a drawing on canvas. Specifically, the colors and the text on the sword. The cool thing about this sword on the server was that it had two textures, or it had multiple textures that it would switch through in Galactic. So you'll see eventually I write some text in Galactic on the sword, because in the game it switches between two words. But that's kind of hard to show on a sword unless I animate it, which my drawing skills are rusty, my animation skills are even more rusty. So I was like, let's maybe not do that with a sword I already have trouble drawing, maybe. So we had to figure out how to put the words, which is help dusk, on just one flat image, which I did figure out. But when I first drew this sword, I think I did draw, quote unquote, I like copied the sword, and then I did help dusk as two separate words, which just looked really weird, because the way the sword is, the words split apart like that have to be so far apart. You see the text is done here, and then apparently skipped through a lot of coloring. What happened was that I probably paused on accident and didn't unpause, and now I'm just sitting here for a while. This is like a different day of me drawing, because I'm like, I gotta fix the handle of the sword because it just looks a bit weird, and I have futzed with this for so long because it took me a while to realize that I think in the original design it is like a rope to give the person holding the sword grip. And originally, I thought it was just like a fun texture design. So that's what I'm adding now, is a rope. And I think I'm copying it to the side, and I'm like, it's done. And then I'm like, let's redo it. So I copy the entire sword, delete the entire handle bit, and I'm like, let's just conceptualize this. Let's just try again with like the image of it being rope in my head, which was really helpful. Even with that though, I think I I think I redo it a few times and also mess with the colors. The colors are so hard for me, specifically purples and blues, which is like the shade of the handle and the blade of the sword, which was fun to work with. But I do end up, I don't know if I end up keeping this, but I do figure it out eventually. And I just love how this came out. This is like most of the reason why I wanted to do this art series was because I was like, I need to redeem this sword that I drew really badly on my channel. But I think if I tried to do this during the season, I don't know if I would have been able to do this during the season. I mean, just because of how long this sword took to draw, and how that was me writing a question mark because I'm like, how do I make this look good? But just because the editing time of just the base episode, I don't know if I would have been able to do such a intensive art thing so early on, but maybe in season 2 we won't mess around because it'll be a bit more chill. This is the handle I end up with once I figure out colors with HSL, which we love the sliders in Clip Studio vein. And that is the Dragonslayer sword. I think it turned out great. And we will move on to our first try of this poster. In 3, 2, 1, go. And I say first try in this poster because if you watched the last episode, which was Bella's sword, I had a lot of problems with that sword, and I just did like 10 million different iterations. And during one of the breaks I took with drawing that sword, I did this attempt, which I did not like, but I thought I'd show you guys anyway because, I don't know, it's kind of fun to see the thought process. But this was also the only sword that I knew what I, like, the vibe that I wanted, the style that I wanted, like, months ago before I even drew the poster. And that style is Art Nouveau, and I don't think we quite got there in the end, but that was the style in my head. It's just, I think to do Art Nouveau, you need to, like, draw, like, flowers or, like, people as the focus. At least from what the artist I was referencing, which was Alphonse Mucha, I hope I'm saying that last name correct, because he's one of my favorite older artists, but all of his, like, pieces of Art Nouveau are focused on, like, a beautiful woman or a flower or a, like, very soft landscape, and this is the opposite of soft, which is a sword. So it didn't really work, but I try it a lot, just trying to get, like, the Art Nouveau-esque, like, detailed border and text, and I think I kind of get there, and then I start messing with colors, which I'm really bad with, and then I'm like, I don't think I can do the, like, soft Art Nouveau, like, almost watercolor coloring style. Like, I need to do probably a study of that style before I try to do it in a piece, which I did not have the time to do, and also didn't really want to do a study at this time. But we try it. You see, I'm doing vines, or, like, just this style of curved and soft lines that are used in Art Nouveau a lot, and I'm using a fun brush I found as a little cheat, which is the hollow outline pen, which is how you see I'm doing these. It just is a hollow outline pen. It's very fun to work with. If nothing else, this series has been very fun to try new tools and pens in Clip Studio Paint, like the selection fill, which was really fun to mess with the last episode. And this episode was me messing with the hollow outline pen, which was very fun. You can change the colors and everything, and it's very cool. And a lot of this first poster is literally me just messing with the border because I really wanted to get it, and I did not end up getting it, unfortunately. This is me drawing or attempting to draw a kind of abstracty, what is it called? End crystal? Just because the sword, the Dragonslayer, is connected to the Ender Dragon, and I just took the end crystal has text on the inside of it, so I just put that, which is at the top, and this is when I start messing with colors, and I realize I don't think this is gonna work. Because I know I wanted green, and I know I wanted kind of like a muted background, and as you see, it just kind of doesn't work. Also, this is me trying to make an Eye of Ender, and I think it's fine. I think the colors are actually really fun on the Eye of Ender, but I couldn't get the colors of the eye to work with anything else. Especially this crystal, which was so bright purple. I don't know why I didn't just color pick from an end crystal for this. This was once again during me drawing Bella's sword, so I think my brain was just kind of melted during this. And I was working so slow as well. This poster was not a fun time, I think. And after this, I took a week-long break of drawing, which I think is what I needed for my brain to like chill out. And I think one day, eventually, I might try to do that study of Art Nouveau style / especially Art Nouveau borders, because I really love how they look. And maybe flowers as well. Probably not people, because I hate drawing people. I'm so bad at drawing people. Stylized, not stylized, just in general, not very good at it. Also, don't really enjoy it. I like drawing swords, and I like drawing backgrounds. And actually, looking at this now, I think it turned out fine. I think if I kept it going, I could have gotten it somewhere. But I just didn't, because I was so, like, the colors are, I absolutely don't know why I started messing with the colors so early. I think if I did all the line work, and then at the very end did colors, I would have maybe enjoyed that a bit more. But, lucky for me, that was the only quote-unquote bad / failed poster we did, and the next try, I got it in one. So let's start that in 3, 2, 1, go! And the reason I got this one in one is because I sketched. This was after I sketched Bella's sword, and I was like, okay, we need to do like a test sketch so I can figure out what I want. So that's what we're doing here. See, I'm still like trying to do the border. I'm like, maybe we do a little sharp thing of skulk, because that was also kind of related in my brain to the sword, and maybe a sign above it that says something, and I'm like, it already says Dragonslayer down below, so maybe we'll just do some light, which I ended up liking. We make it big. And then I think we end up sticking to the sketch pretty decently. Also, we're using rulers to do this border thing, unlike the last poster that I think I just did by hand, because I was like, I'm not gonna try to do this 10 million times. And we're also using the lovely outline pen. But this poster was so fun. So fun. I've learned, once again, with this poster and the last one, just gotta sketch it out. just gotta sketch it out and do like thumbnailing, which is technically what I think I was doing before, where you like draw like small images to see like the entire scale of it together and stuff. It was just very helpful, and I don't really do that too much. I also don't really sketch that much, because I'm like, I just want to get into it. But it was I think I need to do it more, is what I'm trying to say. It's like a skill I need to develop and just not feel so weird about. I don't know, sometimes you're weird about things you do, and that's one of the things I'm weird about. I'm like, I don't wanna, but I should. And then we're adding this skulk. This border actually changes a decent amount, because I realized the text was very busy down there with this little viney swoosh thing. But yeah, this was so fun. If you've watched the Gilded SMP, this might look somewhat familiar because I was basing the background landscape on the ruins where we actually first got the sword. Obviously, it's a bit edited. It's not like a one-to-one, but the like ground that is, I think the ground was actually just stone, but I did grass and like to make it look mossy, and then the background of stone, which I think turned out really well. Also, as always, the Gilded SMP members will be linked down below, because this is about the Gilded SMP. It's about the swords made by Nomad, who is our lovely admin, who will also be linked down below, obviously, because he's also a Gilded SMP member. But this series has been so fun. It's been my first art thing in a few years, which I mentioned in episode 1, is that I had a Instagram that I posted every single day on, and then I got really bad art block and burnout, which you wouldn't be able to guess what happened after like 3 years of drawing every day. Looking at it now, it's obvious, like, should have taken breaks, maybe, but I'm really happy with this. I'm happy to be doing art again in a way that isn't extremely stressful, that I can just like, you know, pop back in to doing art and then maybe not do it for a few days or a few weeks, and then be like, hey, I want to draw a sword or a landscape or something from this game. I think it's kind of stupid to say, I think, but I think this experience of just drawing something from a game and a series and a server that I really enjoyed was kind of like extremely healing for me. Art-wise, because when I was doing that Instagram thing, I obviously drew things from games and things that I liked, but a lot of it was swords, obviously, but a lot of it was kind of like world building stuff, which I do like doing, but doing it every day is a lot of creative energy. And it's not like this wasn't, but it was like these swords have been in my brain for a long time. Obviously, I used this one every day while playing that server for a long time. So it was just like, I knew the design, I knew the feel of it, I knew the vibe, and it was just kind of translating that into a poster, which I also love drawing posters. It's just like such a fun, stylized thing. You can imagine it like, it is kind of like that world building thing that I like doing, because you can imagine it in a world where this poster would be a thing. Like, why would a poster for a sword be a thing? Is it advertising the sword? Is it just like a storybook about a sword? Is it a movie poster, a theater poster? Like, it's just fun. But this is how the sword is going so far. Obviously, you've been watching, hopefully, unless you have me at a different screen. Hello, come back. This is me messing with the vines concept again, because I'm like, it doesn't really look like Art Nouveau, and I want it to like look like Art Nouveau. Because the swords are really sharp, the lights are really sharp, even the rocks and the grass and the obviously the skulk bit, it's all really sharp, which is not what Art Nouveau is. And I think we get to a point where I like the vines, and then I don't end up using them because it just makes it look a little too busy, which I think you can see right now. But it was fun. I think I really like drawing vines with the hollow outline pen. It's just fun and new. We'll see if in like 2 or 3 months I'm like, actually, I don't. I hate it, which sometimes happens with the pens that I use. But we're just doing a lot of erasing, making it so they look like they're winding together. And then we just do like simple shadows and lights, which, see, I think it looks decent, but it also looks extremely busy. And now we're doing some text, which is the same text I used in the first poster because I really liked it. And it's, I think the sword is just called the Dragonslayer or just Dragonslayer. But I put it in as the sword of the Dragonslayer to make it kind of look like a, not exactly like a storybook, but maybe like a poster for a kid's book or something like that. And now this is me messing with another border, which, wouldn't you know, if you draw that orange border that I have, that I think actually looks kind of pinkish now, which is fine, and try to put a border on top of it, it doesn't really work. We end up finding something that I like, but also, something I didn't mention is that we have a hue, saturation, luminosity filter on this, which kind of muted all the colors and made it a little cooler, which I think looks really cool. But I think it still looks good in the like base colors. It just, the filter makes it look a little more cohesive in my head. So at the end I'll show the filter and the non-filter version, just to show you guys both. And now this is me once again being like Art Nouveau. So we're making vines with leaves, and I think this once again looks really cool. This is, I think, the closest vine shape that I do that looks like the most Art Nouveau-ish, just because, except for this is like me making a fire vine, which doesn't really work, but the curves on this I really like. And then it had the same problem that the vines did, which was like, it looks good, but it looks too busy, and like the composition, it made the composition of the piece kind of weird. So we end up not using it again, and I'm like, maybe if we make it like kind of frame the top, it'll look good. It doesn't. But we do end up getting something that is like so extremely vaguely Art Nouveau-esque, which is this, which I'm like, maybe we can just do something in this corner to make it, to kind of balance out this corner with the skulk corner, which is like very dark and like it pulls a lot of attention. So maybe we can put something up here that is just like a little framey bit. And this is actually what we end up going with. I decided to do more of the vines, which we actually keep this time, and also I bring back that little ender eye design just to kind of reference the first piece. This is me doing the text, the galactic text again, where I'm like, maybe we can do help desk here and on the sword, which I don't end up keeping this, but I did like the text there, so I end up writing end for like the end dimension up there, and I think it turned out really good. It was like a nice final bit, and then I try to put it at the bottom, and then I'm like, the text is not working with it, so we end up just doing it at the top, which I think is fine, and I think it looks really cool. We add some more designs to the skull, because I'm like, there needs to be more white in this drawing, and also this needs to look more like, less like a black void and more like skulk, so I'm like, maybe we'll add some white dots. And I actually really like how this looks, because it's like, you can tell that it's like a swoopy pointy thing, but you don't see the entire line, which I think is really fun. And then this is me doing like the final touches, the grain we have been doing on all these posters to make it look like it's old and printed. And then I think I like I really like focusing on the vibe. I'm like, the glow should be a different color and it should look older. So I add cracks to this podium, which I think really made it look finished. And then I also add cracks to the rocks that I like draw in black and then fade out to make them look a little more gray and less, to draw your eyes to it a little bit, but not completely, you know? And then we also do some little buttercups in the grass. That was just for me. Just for me, because I was like, I like yellow. I like flowers. I like buttercups. And then I think we add a single rock in the grass as well. Don't know if it really did anything for the piece, but it was something I wanted to do, so I did it. And then I think that is it. And that is the final poster for this series of art. This has been so incredibly fun to do and so rewarding for me personally to just do a bunch of finished art pieces for the first time in years. And also, I know I've been vaguely referencing a like surprise. So all of these posters, this one, the Bella's one, and the Diorite one, will be available, hopefully in high res if I do everything correctly, on Ko-fi, for free. And then if you want to donate, you can, but you don't need to. But they will be available there. Maybe some of the like quote-unquote scrapped ones will also be up there just for fun, because some of them look good, they just didn't, you know, wasn't the vibe. But those will be there. If I remember, I will put a link in the description. And also, something will be coming back soon. Which some of you might know what that is already, but soon, hopefully next week or the week after that, a series will be coming back. But that will be it for this final episode of sword art. Me drawing swords. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!